Happy Friday and welcome to the 3 Things I Learned in Sports, Tech, and Live Events, July 10th, 2020. 3 things that we learned this week. Number 1, it's time for me to stop doing back-to-back meetings. There's a number of reasons for this. Number 1, good meetings require time. When you're done with it, you want to sit down, you want to gather your notes, you want to update your CRM, you want to make sure that you're digesting what just happened and thinking on it before you move to the next subject matter. It's something that I've been guilty of for a long time. They promote busy work. I get into them and I end up being back-to-back meetings, and I'm not really there the way I need to be. So it's something I need to do better, and our staff has been telling us the same. We all need time to decompress. Sometimes I need to use the bathroom without trying to be rude to the person that I'm supposed to be meeting with next. And I think it creates a situation where maybe I don't want it to be disrespectful to people that maybe we're interviewing or meeting with, but it definitely is. And they cap great meetings. I mean, what happens when you're in a great meeting and you want to extend it, but you have another one that's behind it? That happens too often. It's so hard to get people face-to-face or to get them on the phone. And then when you do have them there, the last thing you want to do is create another obstacle that's going to shorten a meeting that might be going really well, because people are so busy. And once you have their focus, you want to keep it. And like I said, they can be taken as rude by others. So we definitely don't want that. So that's number 1. Number 2, shortcuts are hard. There's an old, really crummy movie called Road Trip where they say that shortcuts are hard, otherwise it would just be the way. They're supposed to be hard. So many people come to us and they want to skip the line, right? They come from big companies. They've worked there for a very long time, but they want to move up. They want to, I don't want to work in a box for 20 years and work my way up to the gold watch. I want it all right now. And I think we have a little more pressure to that in our society today, because we see some of those people who have done that. They have those unicorn ideas that take off, and great for them. That's wonderful. I would love for that to be the case for us. But, when you're trying to skip the line, what people are not appreciating is that the line is often millions of people who have worked really, really hard through legacy organizations. That includes university, grad school, and where they've worked for a really long time, decades. And they're going to defend that stature at all costs because they put a lot of time and energy into that. So skipping the line requires a hefty dose of risk, really hard work and uncertainty, because you're doing something that the people in the line aren't willing to do. There's a reason millions of other people offer safe paths at bigger companies. Right now, many in the workforce, because of COVID-19, are starting to consider joining startups. And I think they're a little bit surprised when they meet with them and they understand what that job looks like. Please don't be, right? It's important. And finally, number 3, this one I really enjoyed. We all have different goals. And I think this really stands out because we've had this experience quite a bit when people call us to invest in our business or buy our business. And they throw around things like, we'll make you rich, or we'll make you famous, and all these things that we're just not interested in, right? We had one company that tried to buy us a couple of years ago. We went through a 2-month process with them. And the entire time during the process, all they talked about were some of the other CEOs and other leadership teams they had and how much money they had made. And they just never did their homework, that it wasn't important to us. And where I learned this, and what was really great, was I've been reading this book by Jim Ross, who is a wrestling announcer. I've always loved wrestling. And he's recounting the night that Shawn Michaels retired, which was WrestleMania 26. It was a rematch with The Undertaker from their WrestleMania 25 match, which many consider to be the greatest match of all time, myself included. As you can imagine, afterwards there were huge after parties. Everything was rolled out for Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. But JR got a text from Shawn Michaels after the match, while WrestleMania was still going on, and said, "Meet us out by the buses." And so JR told his wife, "Okay, I can't go with you. I got to go out by the buses," right? They go out, and apparently, when you reach a certain level of stature in wrestling, you get your own bus, much like movie stars and the likes. Undertaker had set up the buses in a U shape. He had 2 guards out to make sure that the public wasn't coming in, and they had made a fire on their own with lawn chairs around it. Just the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and JR. And they sat in lawn chairs, and they drank beer and whiskey until 5 in the morning, telling tales to one another. And as JR said, it was just a couple of rednecks where they were the most comfortable. And man, that's my kind of VIP. So many lead with the wrong promises. I learned that I need to make sure that when I'm talking to other people, I understand what drives them. I understand what their goals are, whether they're working with us, whether they're working on our team, whether there's somebody that we're partnering with. So those are the 3 things I learned this week, July of 2020. Hopefully we see you guys next week. Thanks.